and welcome to the third episode of the Combined Impact podcast. I'm Nagila and I'm joined by Shari. And today we're going to be talking about love languages and apology languages. But first, we wanted to address some of the feedback that we got from the last episode, which was overwhelmingly positive, I must say. I really liked reading everything. I liked the voice notes, especially when we get voice notes the day that we release the podcast or the day after. It's just
y'all
so
listen to us
heartwarming.
immediately. That's so nice.
It is really nice. And Shari is going to read one comment or one
I was gonna mention indeed. I think one of the comments I found most heartwarming was a friend of mine that told me that I'm really happy I listened to that episode because she was holding some things in, and being reminded that her feelings are valid gave her the courage to confront the person that was hurting her. And that to me is fucking, like, I don't think people understand how much courage it takes to even do that. To stand up for yourself, to speak up when you feel, especially because when people make you feel your feelings aren't valid, that really shuts you down and it shuts everything in. And being able to express that and speak up don't ever let anyone tell you that that's silly. It is so powerful to be able to do that, and I hope more of you have the courage to do that as well.
And I'm so glad that we were a part of that encouragement, and I hope that other people also encourage their friends to just talk about the way that they feel about certain things. And we also got feedback from somebody who said, that part about Puma and Dumo never really sat right with me, but I didn't know what it was. And that's exactly what Shadi was also saying. I was like, wait, because we were watching The Lion King. She's like, are they toxically positive?
And the only reason I realized that was because I was researching toxic positivity for the podcast. So in my 25 years of life, and when they come out, I can't remember when I watched it as a kid, but since then I've been like, Lion King is one of my favorite movies. All of that time, I have never realized it until now. So it's, one, never too late to learn. And two, to learn things from different perspectives as well, and learn when, some things that you think are good are maybe not that great, so you gotta reevaluate some things. So that was really...
It sneaks up. It comes up in different situations, and the only time that you really, really have to be careful with it is when somebody is really going through something very touchy. So I guess just be mindful. Yes. Just try to be mindful.
Mindfulness is, I think, is such a key word to our podcast. I feel because we use that word a lot, but it's so important.
Speaking of mindfulness, today we're going to be talking about love languages and apology languages. And the reason why we chose this topic was because the first two topics were or could be considered kind of heavy. Yeah. And we just wanted to do something, loosey-goosey that didn't require
lighthearted.
Too much research.
Well, yeah. But so it's fun. Let's get into it, guys. Alright, so on to the definitions of what a love and apology language is. The 5 Love Languages was a book by Gary Chapman. He wrote a book in 1992. And that's basically what people refer to when they talk about the 5 love languages. And in short, it's the concept of a love language is the different ways we show love and interpret love back. It's the language we speak when expressing love, because the action of loving is different for everyone. There is room for misinterpretations, and people can mistake that for lack of connection or I don't love you back. It's basically we all speak a different language even in love, and if you're not careful with that, or if you're not aware of other people's love languages, there's room for misinterpretation basically. And there are 5 love languages, which is the first one is words of affirmation. It's basically verbally expressing your love. Basically verbal compliments, etc. That's important. Another love language is acts of service. With acts of service, it's basically, actions speak louder than words. It's that simple. And you have also quality time, which is
put down that phone when we're in a conversation or when you're hanging out.
Yeah, basically. It's that quality time over anything else. And then you have physical touch, which that is people who express their love non-verbally with through a hug, cuddling, massage, basically, so non-verbal. And last but not least is receiving gifts. And with receiving gifts, especially with that, it's not necessarily that a person is materialistic, right? It's more that the act of giving someone something that, for example, reminded you of them is what they cherish the most.
It's more about the thought behind it.
Yeah,
you
basically.
were thinking about me.
Exactly, basically that. But what are apology languages?
The definition of apology languages is basically the same as love language, in the sense that it's the different ways that we understand and express our apologies. Jennifer Thomas came up with this, and she wrote a book together with Gary Chapman, because Gary Chapman did come up with the love languages first, and then she was like, yeah, but what about apology languages? So they worked together on that, and they also came out to 5 apology languages. The first one is expressing regret, and that one is just that you feel that they are expressing the guilt and shame that they feel for hurting you or causing you pain. And that's basically just saying, I'm sorry. Like, oh no, I'm sorry. That's when you step on somebody's toes in the supermarket, you just say you're sorry, and that's enough. Then there is accepting responsibility, and that's a genuine apology that accepts responsibility and does not attempt to make excuses or justifications. And that's like, I am so sorry. I was totally wrong for doing that. I shouldn't have done that type of thing. Then the third one is genuine repent. And another way to say genuine repent is revising the plan. And that is, I'm so sorry that I did that. I fucked up. Next time I won't do this and this. Or next time I'll pay more attention to when you're having a day and I shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. And then there is a make restitution. And make restitution is you're looking for assurance that your partner still cares and is attempting to assure you by meeting your needs in the way that are most important to you. And what makes it different from genuinely repent is that in this sense, the person is really trying to explain why they acted the way that they did, and they also are more mindful in the sense that, okay, so next time I won't do this, and it gives more of a backstory, I guess, to the way you acted towards them and why you're apologizing. And the very last one is requesting forgiveness. And if this is your love language, it's meaningful to you for your partner to actually ask for your forgiveness. And this was the least common apology language, but it does occur that some people do really, really need the partner to be like, please, can you forgive me? And yeah.
All right.
So obviously, both of us did the test for love languages and apology languages. What were your top 2 of each?
Okay, so, that's also a thing. Apparently, we all have the primary and secondary love and apology languages. And my primary love language is physical touch. And my secondary is quality time. So, it's basically if I genuinely care about you, if you're a person in my life, I will probably either be hugging you or just cuddling, or I like to give hugs. Hugs are fun, okay? but yeah, and quality time is also just very important to me. If we're spending time together, I like being in the same space as my loved ones, but also not only being in the same space, but also being here as well. Not necessarily that we're sitting next to each other, but you're on your phone the whole time, that it doesn't make me feel connected to you. But that's basically how I interpret it, or how I experience my love languages, basically. My primary apology language is make restitution.
Okay.
And I just found that out today, by the way, while recording, or before recording. But it's basically, sorry isn't enough in that sense for me. You can say sorry, but it doesn't resonate with me as much, because in my head it's okay, but do you understand why you're sorry? What do you... I need a little bit more than just that, I guess. And my secondary is accepting responsibility. It's also important to me to be okay, so yeah, I get it. We all fuck up. We're not perfect, but also do you if you're gonna tell me, oh yeah, but this and that, it's okay, let's not do that. Like, that's not gonna fly with me. So it's basically, those are my primary and secondary ones. What are yours?
I did the test for love languages twice, and I did the test for apology languages today. But the love languages I did when I first found out about it. That was a few years ago. And for that one, the first one was acts of service. I'm a huge acts of service fan. And then,
You are.
like, somewhere off in the distance, the second one was quality time. I don't mind as much when people aren't really, really paying attention a lot of the time. But when I'm trying to say something important, then I do appreciate it when they put their phones down or, actually pay attention to what I'm saying. And then when it comes to apology languages, the first two were almost the same. They were 33% and 29%. And the first one was accepting responsibility. And the second one is expressing regret. So
All right.
I guess in my sense, the people that I hang out with, I don't expect them to lay out a plan for me or explain what they're going to do differently the next time. I just trust that they're going to do it, and it kind of annoys me if they try to elaborate more. And it's like, yeah, I know you are wrong. That's the whole point of this. And I'm not necessarily interested in how they're not gonna be wrong the next time, as long as they're not.
Yeah, it's you know what the thing is? I know, like, a lot of the times these type of things, like love languages, the terms love languages and apology language, it all sounds like a trend. It all sounds like we're getting into this whole new trend, right?
Yeah, that people are trying to define everything.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes or oftentimes like turns people off of the idea. And it's like, because I've heard so many people like, this is so corny, or this isn't like, you should like know how to treat people, right? It's like, but actually we don't. That's
exactly.
That's the
no
problem.
No matter how cognizant you are of other people and their feelings, you're not gonna know exactly how to treat every single person in your life.
Yeah. So I recently, because of researching for the podcast, I finally decided to order a book I've been looking to order for a while. And it's I told you about it.
Yeah.
It's called The Game of Desire by Shannon Boodram. And Shannon Boody, for those who know her from her YouTube channel, she is a relationship expert, a sexologist. She talks a lot about relationships and all of these type of things. And I remember she quoted, in other important areas like our career, finances, and health, we are taught that if we want to excel, we must study, seek out expert guides, and practice proven behaviors, right? That's what we do. We are taught, literally, if you want to excel, if you want to succeed, you have to do this, you have to...
Step 1, step 2, step 3.
We learn, we read books, we study. But we don't do this when it comes to relationships and ourselves and social... cues, basically, or social...
We just rely on instincts, basically.
Yeah, we basically just rely on instincts. And it's like, why do we do that if there's so many tools? It's like we leave that part of us, that interpersonal part of us, we don't develop it like we should. But while it's a key part of our emotional well-being, like, we deal with that everywhere we go. We deal with that with relationships, we deal with it in friendships, at work.
Yeah,
literally we deal with people all day, every day.
Just when you're in a store.
And yet we are so illiterate when it comes to how to be aware of other people and other people's needs and what we need ourselves. I think that's a big part of me growing up. I wasn't taught to think about what my needs were or what my love language was. How do I express love? How do I what do I need from people? Because we weren't really taught to like be assertive in that way, to be like, because
then you're selfish, then you're needy or you're bossy.
And that's weird to me, because it's like, okay, but yet you have to learn how to communicate what you need from people in order to work on your well-being.
How do you expect people to know how to talk to you or how to be the best partner if you don't tell them? But then again, how can you tell them if you don't know that there are different love languages and different apology languages?
Exactly. So it's basically learning how to learning what your needs are so you can express it and to others. And I think that's what's so cool about these things, that that's why I think I'm getting so much into learning more about love languages and apology languages. It's like a learning tool, basically, how to figure yourself out and how to figure other people out, and how you can just build more longer lasting meaningful relationships, and just do right by yourself in that way. I think a little bit more.
I'm really glad that people are paying more attention to the definitions of love languages and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of people are stuck in one aspect of it, and they don't continue to research, for example, apology languages as well. So there are love languages, and an important question that was mentioned by the lady Jennifer Thomas was, what do you say or do, and what do you want to hear or see? And that applies to both love languages and apology languages. So what do you say or do when you want to express to somebody that you are very fond of them, that they mean a lot to you? And in that sense, what I do is, this person is still asleep when I'm already awake, so I will make them breakfast, I'll make them coffee, I'll maybe they were a bit stressed out yesterday because the place was a bit messy, so then I'll wake up a bit earlier and then clean the place, so when they wake up it's nice and clean and they don't have to worry about that anymore. But that's how I express my love language, and that's not necessarily how they receive it. Maybe to them it's just like, oh yeah, whatever, they cleaned the place, who cares? Or like, oh yeah, they woke up and they were making breakfast for themselves, so they made some for me, whatever. And maybe their love language is receiving gifts. And to me, honestly, that was like one of the bottom ones for me. So I don't really care about gifts at all. I actually find them inconvenient, because I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist, but I'm very mindful about the stuff that I decide to have in my life. And when somebody gives me a gift, I'm like, oh great, what am I gonna do with this now? How long am I supposed to wait before I can give it to somebody else? Or it's not nice. But it's I can definitely appreciate that that's how some people express that they are, that I mean a lot of you. Yeah. So I can separate those two, and I can still appreciate it and be like, that's really nice of you.
But that's also, I think, a part of it too. It's like knowing that, for example, with you, I'm not gonna just give you a gift, because honestly it's a nightmare. It's like your birthday, it's like, god damn it, what am I supposed to do? Because I know you don't like getting gifts, so like what can I get that she can either put to good use, or
how can I buy an act of service?
Legit. And like with other people, I do know they adore gifts, and it's so but it's just, it really depends. But that's what the thing is. I really wish I learned all this way sooner in my life, because it would have solved so many of my problems. Well, not all of them, but most of them. It would have
helped some friendships along.
Yeah, it would have helped some friendships. It would have helped me learn how to express my needs better, especially when it came to like love languages. Because I was also like, my primary love language is physical touch, and secondary quality time. So that goes hand in hand. Like, spend time with me. I also learned, I am a very like physical person, but not everyone is like that. So I learned, okay, who do I have to be a little bit more physical with? When is the time to take a step back? Don't smother someone with love, basically. And that was something I did need to learn, but also I didn't realize, or I couldn't really pinpoint why sometimes I didn't feel loved enough, even though someone was expressing or saying they're expressing their love to me. I was like, yeah, but I did this for you, I did that for you, and I bought you this. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm still not feeling it,
because it just doesn't resonate with you.
And then I was like, I was beating myself up a lot about certain things. It was like, why can't I just appreciate this gift they bought me? Or why am I still not feeling like it's enough? Why am I feeling like this? And then with reading about these love languages and stuff like that, it came to me. It's like, oh, okay, because even though I appreciate all of those different love languages, and of course, like, who doesn't like getting gifts once in a while?
Oh, hell yeah.
Who doesn't
Even
like...
I that don't like getting gifts will be like, wow, thank you.
Yeah.
That is
Or,
so
like,
nice of you.
I love when people decide to do things for me out of the blue, because I know that's how they share their love, but I realize that's like my love meter basically needs to be filled with quality time and physical touch.
And then if it's not way quicker with those two.
Yeah. And if it's not, if I don't have that, it's then that's why I felt a lot of those times it wasn't connecting, it wasn't resonating with me.
Yeah, but that's a really good way of expressing that, because you have a love meter. Yeah. And if somebody spends quality time with you, it's like, ding, one day the whole thing is filled, but then somebody can buy you like 50 million gifts, and then it's like a little bit each time. Okay.
Yeah, and then like, and again, I do appreciate gifts, just so y'all know.
But gifts.
But I think it's just not. It didn't resonate with me as well, and it kind of. Especially when you're not feeling heard or understood by your partner in that way, it can get, but that's what the part of, if you don't learn to each other's love languages, you can't express them in the way that you need to hear from each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel is a trap, because a lot of people are immediately interested by the idea of love languages. They do the test, they find out what their own love language is, but my problem is that that's where they stop. That's how they find out how to communicate to other people. My love language is what was the other, like, physical touch. I keep forgetting the fifth one. But for example, my love language is physical touch, and then for example, the other person's love language is something else, but they don't really care to really be mindful about what the other person's love language is. They keep expressing their own love language to the person, and then they feel hurt when the person isn't resonating with all of their gifts or all of their physical touch and stuff like that. And I think that gets in the way of a lot of relationships as well, because, and I do definitely understand that you feel like the other person doesn't care enough about you to learn your love language, because if you don't resonate to gifts, and I don't resonate with quality time, then I'm not gonna care about spending quality time with you. I'm just gonna keep giving you gifts, but you're not gonna resonate with those gifts that I keep giving you, so it's not gonna work out.
Exactly.
But if we do make the efforts to understand each other's love languages, then I was like, okay, I really want to get her like all of these gifts that I saw, but I know that she won't like it as much, so I'll just buy them and save them for a later date, like when I'm expected to give her gifts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll watch her favorite movie with her. I will. Was physical touch. Oh, I have an issue with that. I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't expect you to fulfill my like.
But we're not lovers. It's okay.
No. Yeah, exactly. That's
But you gotta figure out ways,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's about that reciprocation. That's the most important. It's about
in one word.
It's about learning that not everyone, again, speaks your language. Everyone has a different language they speak, so you gotta meet people halfway. That's how it works. So it's and I think that's the primary, like, that's the biggest takeaway I got from it. And honestly, since learning about this, I never went back, because it made me see my relationships, my friendships in such a different light. And I personally consider relationships and friendships kind of like the same thing, in the sense that you literally have to do the same, put in the same effort, put in the same reciprocation, communication, love, respect. All of that goes into not only your romantic relationships, but your friendships, even like with coworkers,
Yeah, your coworkers and your family relationships. Yeah. They're all different, but they all rest on the same principle.
Yeah.
All of that.
And that made me look at things and people differently. It's like, oh, I understand why you get mad at me for certain things, or you don't appreciate certain things as opposed to how I look at them. So with my friendships and relationships now, I'm like, I'm that type of, hey, what are your love languages? Hey, what are you? Wait, how do I?
Hi, I'm Shadi. What are your love languages?
Yeah, and that's super, like, okay, I don't actually do that, but
no, you don't.
I just really love learning about what is important for other people to, what do they need from me? And of course, I'm still learning how to do that a little bit more, but also what I need from other people and how to be assertive in that. It really did help my friendships in that way too. It's like, okay, this is my needs, what are your needs? It just betters communication overall. And I think now with apology languages as well, that is something I'm sorry, but I can get so like apology. I think with apology languages, and why maybe it's not focused on as much, is because we as like people in general are really bad at admitting when we're wrong.
Oh yes, and we're very good at being defensive.
Oh hell yeah, I am so like, my first reaction when somebody tells me something, what do you mean? Or but actually,
I didn't mean it that way. Why did you take it that way?
Or it's like, no, I didn't say that. It's basically just like immediately feeling attacked and, you know, wanting to be defensive.
Yeah.
And I think that's just part of us not admitting when we're wrong, or being able to admit when you're wrong. I think because there's so much shame and guilt that surrounds us not being perfect, right?
Yeah, and shame and guilt are very, very strong feelings. And that's why I did want to talk about this a lot today, because anybody you love, you will have disagreements with.
Yeah.
So they go hand in hand, really. And to some people, one thing would be enough, or one thing would be, thank you, I really, really appreciate that you put thought into what you're going to do next time, so it doesn't happen again. But to the other person, it would be kind of annoying, like, yeah, I trust you enough to know that you're not gonna do it again. I just need to hear you say that you were wrong, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the things, like, while I was learning about this. And it also made me learn a lot about why I sometimes don't accept certain apologies, or not necessarily that I don't accept them, it doesn't resonate with me, because
it's more difficult to accept.
Yeah, it was more difficult to accept, and I couldn't really pinpoint why, because I know they're saying they're sorry, but why am I not accepting, or why does
it feel so blah?
Yeah, and then I realized, because I'm not someone who generally, again, resonates with words. I resonate with, okay, but do you know why you're sorry? Do you understand where that is coming from, where the hurt is coming from? And it's the same when I apologize to someone, or when I realize, oh, I did something, I misstepped, or I said something I shouldn't have had, I'll be like this. That's also my way of apologizing. It's like, okay, so I accept responsibility. I know I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I didn't mean to say it in this way, or, you know, I take full responsibility and I try to better myself in that way. It's like, okay, so this isn't cool. How do I, you know, fix this situation? Because to me, you can say sorry a million times, you can you know, ask for forgiveness a million times, but if your behavior doesn't change, it doesn't,
what's the point?
Yeah, but again, that's my apology language. I know for other people it's not like that, but that's basically why I couldn't, like, some people when they would apologize or some things would happen, it's like, is that it? Are you just gonna say sorry and
they leave you wanting more?
Yeah, it's like basically, and it's like, okay, thanks for that. And then they would get salty that I wouldn't accept it, and it's like, but I'm sorry that I can't. Like, again, that's just the way I don't resonate with that. And I think, again, it's a very important thing, especially because we are so, I feel personally, a lot of people, me including, are really bad with conflict, or we're really bad at it's to finding solutions to conflict and to talking about things, conflict in general, because we are like, I feel people are very much prideful animals in that way.
We're very quickly riled up.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to, like, knowing your apology language and someone else's apology language. It's not necessarily that it solves the conflict immediately. It's not something to just be like, okay, here and done. No, it's like a tool to, when you're fighting with someone, or when something happens, emotions are involved, right? And you have to know the best way to get that person out of that emotion.
Yeah, to de-escalate the situation, so you can get to a place where you can talk to them.
Yeah, when you actually sit down and be like, oh, okay, so now can you explain to me why this made you upset, or what do we have to work on? I think that's like, it's delusional to believe that you're never gonna fight with your loved ones, because that's impossible. We can't deny our emotions. We can't deny, it's also, we can't fault ourselves for the way we react, but it is still about learning, okay, how do we actually work on this? Because that's the most important. It's about working on and improving your relationships with people and friendships with people. And it's about, I think that's the most key point of this, is just improving your connections.
And I think it's also important to understand even the love languages that we don't resonate with, where they might be coming from. Like some people do find it enough for the person to say, oh, hey, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done that. So just apologizing, and that's fine. And to me, that wouldn't necessarily always be enough, but I can understand that for the people who do feel like that's enough, maybe it's because they appreciate genuineness, they appreciate spontaneity, they appreciate people just being who they are and doing what they do, and quickly forgiving as well. Like, oh, okay, I understand that they didn't mean it this way, and I understand that they might do it again in the future, but I'll do my part in not taking it personally. So that's when I get that. But the same as you, in the sense that I still expect people to be more mindful of how they treat others.
Of course.
And I definitely appreciate spontaneity. I definitely appreciate people being genuine. But you can also be genuine and more mindful.
Yeah. And it really is about that, like, part of mindfulness, about realizing you share this earth with so many other people, and you share your life with so many other people, and it's about learning how to maneuver life with and all these connections that you're going to have throughout your life.
Yeah, that's part of your responsibility, but it's nice not to be the only one carrying the responsibility.
Yeah, it is nice.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It really would. And some days, we all wake up selfish some days. Like, I just want to be loved and I don't want to do anything in return. Can I just have one day?
Your birthday. But I think in these conversations, it's also, you gotta be careful not to be too, not to overdo it. Like with love languages, of course, you can smother your friends or your loved ones with the love in the way that they resonate with it, and you can apologize in the way that they resonate with it, and you can be mindful not to do anything to hurt them because you care about them. But in some situations, then people can very, very, very easily say, stop being so sensitive when it comes to stuff like this. And in some cases, people really are too sensitive, but that's when it borderlines selfishness. So I expect you to go out of your way to treat me exactly the way I want to be treated. And sometimes that just doesn't happen, People have their own lives, they're going through their own shit. They don't have time to constantly be paying attention to person A wants me to do this and this and this just so their day is perfect, and person B wants me to do this and that. Then you're just spending your entire day putting other people's needs in front of your own as well. Yeah,
that's where the key, and that's when you have to know boundaries as well. What are your boundaries? Okay, I need to draw a line here. I am so bad with boundaries. It's not even a joke.
With your own boundaries.
Yeah, my boundaries.
You're awesome with my boundaries, I have to say.
Yeah, but I just lack in my own boundaries department, and I know I have to work on that. And because I think we're so, I don't know, me especially growing up, I was always kind of brought up to cater to others as opposed to actually my own needs and my own thoughts and stuff like that. And that really, of course, that messes you up in a way, because you're always constantly focusing on others instead of yourself. And it's definitely made me not be honest or open, or it also depends on the experiences you've had with people in the past, I think, or in your life. Because, for example, with gift giving, and that is something I still carry with me to this day. But I remember I used to be with someone who would always give me gifts when they fucked up. And like you're going to associate that with negativity, you know. You're gonna associate, oh, you bought me flowers today, what the fuck did you do again? Like, what is your like, come on, man. Like, you know. So I think it's definitely really, I think that's the part about learning about yourself and learning about, okay, why do certain things not sit well with me? And it's because trauma. Okay, I get it. And I think that's something also to be mindful of, if that it's okay if you don't appreciate that in, you know, in that way, but maybe there's a reason behind it, and what do you need to like work on and figure out.
There probably is a reason behind it.
But yeah, point being, you know, it's not that straightforward, it's not that black and white. It really depends on your experiences and what you've gone through, and again, your own personal language and how you deal with that and maintain that.
Now that you guys know a bit more about love and apology languages, and you know what mine and Shadi's are, we're very curious to hear what yours are as well. Do the test. If you just type it in, the first hit is just a test, and you can do that. And I'm also very curious to hear why is your primary love language, or why do you think that the bottom one is your least favorite apology language?
Yeah, that's also interesting.
Yeah, this is one of those topics that I'm really like, I want to know why.
Yeah, it's like,
and I want to know everybody's. So yeah,
hit us up. You know,
let us know.
Alright guys, so that was love and apology language. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about, well, how to express your love, or how other people express your love, so how to be more mindful.
And understand that two different people speak two different languages.
Yeah. So as per usual, we try to promote, you know, artists and just musicians in general. We try to make our outro a little bit different every time to promote music that we absolutely enjoy.
We also hope to get think pieces, poetry, stuff like that, but nobody has approached us or submitted anything yet. So if you're a spoken word artist,
please contact us. We are literally begging at this point.
But for today, we have music. And it's super chill, super nice. I think you guys will like it too. And at the end, he's gonna talk a little bit about, you know, himself, where you can find him and stuff. So we hope you enjoy.
And see you all in the next episode.
Bye.
Hey everyone, a big thank you to Ela and Shari for having me on the Combined Impact podcast. You just heard Four Walls. My name is Justin Mohamed, and you can find me on all socials.
Love you, bye.